How are we going next, Jenners? All right, we are into a big, juicy topic. One of my favorites. Do I go for a Juco or a 4-year school? Man, this has created such debate, especially where I'm from in Australia. Is it the Juco route you hear all the time? You hear some major success stories out of the Juco route. Or do I just, all I look at is 4-year schools? Juco versus the 4-year school. Let's get into it right now. Before we do, make sure you click subscribe. We've got a bunch of good episodes coming up. If you missed the college recruiting video episode, that was episode 1, or the email, how to email some of these schools, get right on it. We've got a lot of topics, not just college stuff, guys. We're talking I got some good motivational. I got some good storytelling. I've got some good throwing programs, structures, essentials, everything that you want to hear about. But this is a good little chunk of time where I want to talk about some of the college recruiting process. This is something I do with a lot of my players, especially coming from Australia. It has its challenges, being out of state, etc., everything else. So with that being said, let's get into it. What's right for you? That's all that matters, right? For mum and dad, when you're looking at your son, you don't care if, little Tommy down the street went to a Juco or 4-year. You care about your son. All right, so let's look at some of the parameters. First of all, what is a junior college? We all kind of figure out what a 4-year school is. You see the big ones, the UCLA, the Oregon State is another big one. Some of these SEC schools in that conference over on the East Coast. So on and so forth. Stanford University, you hear about the Ivy League schools, everything else. So it's pretty cut and dry. It's the same in the States. Same in Australia. When you talk about getting a college degree or a university degree, it's important, right? Because when you go out in the workforce, majority of jobs that essentially you'd like to do, if you want to be educated, if you want to go that route, as opposed to other, professions or careers, you're going to have to get a college degree. Okay, so we all know that, but that's covered. What about a Juco? A junior college for the Australians, think of it like this. It's a 2-year school. That's it. You hear about such and such junior college. You hear about community college. First of all, a community college is more of like a state school. In other words, it's a lot cheaper. It's government ran. So you hear about whatever such and such community college. There's a boatload out there. There's a lot of Aussies who go to some of these community colleges. And then you've also got the junior college. So think of it like this. When you're getting a degree from one of these schools, essentially what you're trying to do is further advance to get to a 4-year school. Most people, when they go to a Juco, and I'm not talking about athletes, I'm talking about in general. You go to a 2-year school so you can get enough credits, you get an associate's degree, which is basically the best thing you can get out of a junior college, to then further your education to get to that 4-year school. Maybe you were a muppet in high school. I certainly was at periods of time. And you have to go to that Juco because you don't quite qualify to get to that 4-year school. Kind of like too in Australia, I kind of compare it. I guess it's kind of like a TAFE in other words. Again, not the athletic side. I'm talking about just in general. Like there's certain degrees or diplomas or whatever you want, whatever it is, degrees that you can get to help you out to get whatever the profession you want to dive into at say a TAFE. It's very similar to that. So that's important. All right. So I do want to specify this. I was going to say this right in the beginning. A lot of people, for some reason, think with me, with Next Gen Baseball, when I send kids off to some of these big schools, and the way I've talked back in Australia, is that I'm against junior college or junior college is not a good option. That is absolute crap. Whoever you heard that from is absolute crap. If you look at the Next Gen alumni, half the kids I've sent off to schools, half of them are going to Jucos. It's the best fit for them. And we're going to get into some of the reasons why right now. First of all, let's talk about some of the good things for a Juco, some of the reasons why I'd send a kid off to Juco. And there is a big spectrum too. Just because it says I'm going to play college baseball, there is this college and then there's that college. There's a big difference, right? It's the same thing as, I guess, when you're talking a D3, low-level school compared to a big D1 powerhouse. There's a big spectrum, especially with Jucos. So you might hear about Smithfield County Community College or something that no one's ever heard of. That's a Juco. But then you've also got some of the quote-unquote powerhouse schools that are just straight pipelines to get kids into 4-year school. So let's dive into some of the reasons why a Juco may be a good fit. Number one is cost. These schools are expensive, as we all know, right? When I send kids off, for example, we just had Liam Grant, Josh Naddai go off to Oregon State. Now, when I dive into, and Felix Brunner, who went to a Juco right around the same time, just at the end of last year. So it's completely different process. So when I'm talking to an Oregon State And I'm talking for, whether it be Travis Bazana, Josh Nadai, or Liam Grant, or Oscar Hyde as well, who went early on in the year. You got to remember a couple things. Number one, when you dive into this, you try to gain the best scholarship possible because the cost, man. I don't want to tell a kid, hey, yeah, go there for 20% scholarship when they just simply can't afford it. It's just going to be a burden. Anytime you go to a school, it cannot be a burden financially on you or your family. And on top of that, a lot of kids too I talked to in this process the last couple of years, if they're in year 10, if they're a sophomore, 10th grade, and they've committed to a school, well, guess what? 11th grade, 12th grade, you get a job. I got a job, Lone Star Steakhouse and Saloon, washing dishes, and I worked at Pizza Hut because I saved money. I didn't know if I was going to play pro ball or not. I ended up playing professionally, and I was lucky enough to live with my parents back home during the off-season, 6 months of the year. I wanted to make some money. I didn't know what I was going to be doing. I knew it was going to be something baseball related. It could be going to play college or somewhere. I wanted to make some cash, so I saved up all my money. So if I'm a kid, I put it this way because I'm a dad now. I'm old. I just turned 40, by the way. My birthday was a couple of weeks ago. Anyway, but if my son Lennox or Kennedy, they want to go to this big school and they commit as an athlete and they get a nice little chunk of scholarship, but it doesn't cover the whole thing, and they're still out $10,000 a year. Guess what, kiddos? You're going to go get a job and you're putting that in a bank account. You're not using that to go to the movies or buy a WRX 1996 with a turbo boost or whatever the hell it is. Gets 0 to 60 or 0 to 105 seconds. You're not doing that, bro. What you're doing is saving that cash because when you go off to pay for your college, I don't want to have to see you in debt or myself in debt when you're off the other end of it. So I usually say that when a kid goes off and they commit to a school, get a job, you can cover the cost, boom, and you're going to be way more comfortable. It should never be a burden when you're talking about going to school. So with that being said, number one, the cost. Junior colleges normally are a lot cheaper. The other rules, the other NCAA rules aren't so stringent. So when you go to a D1 NCAA school, we all know 11.7 scholarships broken up between about 28 kids. Half of those kids are paying full boat to go to a school. They're going to pay the whole thing. They're what's called a walk-on. A lot of kids only get 20% scholarship, right? And then they're going to pay the rest. 11.7 full scholarships divided, and they're not going to give you a look. There's been a couple of kids that have been offered a full ride. We can talk about this more when we talk about in another episode picking the right school. When you are a quote unquote full ride baseball player, you better show up and you better absolutely dominate as soon as you get there. They are very rare and very hard to get. So cost is the big one. Mum and dad, if you are not comfortable, and you got to remember this is in 3 years from now, or 2 years or 1 year, if you are not comfortable, it's going to be a burden. It's going to be hard. I know you love your kids and they got a chance to go to some big powerhouse. You have to structure how you're going to do it financially, or if they get a job or whatever it may be. Just keep that in mind. So cost is number one. Number two, this is a big one for me, is maturity level. If you are a kid, I went through this too, year 11, year 12, right? I just could not focus. I was too wrapped up saying I'm going to be a pro baseball player, right? I mean, I was oblivious. I'm going to be a pro athlete. Little did I know how the system works. It worked out great, but it doesn't always work out. So I would just goof off in school. My maturity level wasn't there. Once I turned 23, 24, 25, which happens a lot to us males, you turn 25 years old, all of a sudden you actually get a clue and you start locking in. So if your maturity level isn't there, man, 4 years is going to be difficult. You've got to turn that around quick. If you don't have the right people to talk to, the guys who haven't been there before, it's going to be a tough road. It is, to balance the school plus the degree. Now, and the baseball. Baseball stuff's every single day, and the school just keeps pushing on you. So, for example, there's been a couple of kids that asked me, hey, this school's pretty interested. And I look at the degree, I'm like, man, you know what? You are going to have your hands full with that degree, my man. Just be heads up. How are you at school right now? And mum and dad say, he can get better. He goofs off a bit. Straight away, I'm like, red flag. I think maybe he should think about either an easier degree to get, something that's not so academically punishing. And number two on top of that, you know what? Maybe it's a Juco. Maybe he goes to a junior college. Okay, so that's another one. The maturity level is massive. It sets up everything else that we're going to talk about. Now, the other thing you got to remember as well is if you are not ready, if you are not getting the looks, with a 4-year school. Maybe it's your dream school. We talked about you sending that email off in an earlier episode. If you're not getting the looks, don't settle for a mid-major D2 or whatever, one of these schools that you're not happy with just because it's a 4-year school. And this is some of the Americans too. There is nothing against, if you're a kid who you have the academics, I get it, it's important and everything else, you're good enough to get to the school, right? You want to go play college baseball at a 4-year school, don't look down on the Juco option, because this is what happens. You get into year 1, you go to a really good Juco, and we're going to talk about some of the ones we're going to choose here in a minute. You get to that good Juco, guess what? The doors open up for an even better school if you just wait. I know it takes one of your years off, but it can be. You don't want to be miserable year 2, year 3. I'm telling you right now. And the whole transfer portal thing that goes on right now, it's a mess. Make sure you are 100% dialed in that school. You're proud to be there. You're proud to wear that logo. Committed to so-and-so. Yeah, this is a great feeling. Don't be like, this is all I could get. Go to a Juco. There's really, really good Jucos you can go to. Let's not forget too. Now, let's talk about, I want to talk about, these are some of the reasons, but I want to stay on Jucos for a second. I said this early in the episode. There's Jucos, junior colleges, and then there's junior colleges. I send my guys to certain junior colleges. Now, I see it a lot, especially the Australians, who really good players, but you're so far away, I get it, and this is sometimes that Aussie mentality where you don't quite feel like you're good enough. When you are, I had Travis Bazzana live here for 2 months. The amount of times when Travis and I were sitting there watching TV and he wasn't putting his dishes away and he was leaving my car on empty, when Trav and I would chat, he would say constantly, he's been through his freshman year at a big school at Oregon State, the amount of times he says, man, most of these Australians could play D1 baseball. They could play. They're at the right level to play at D1. And then we could come across some names, and we're saying to ourselves, saying to each other, that, man, they had this one offer, and they just said, yeah, this will do me. This is all I'm getting. Guys, put yourself out there. Don't settle for just whatever school just because it says it's college baseball. There's a very big spectrum when it comes to college baseball. Again, not knocking any school, but these are the things you need to look at if you are going to go the Juco route. The big ones. Number 1, you need to ask that school, right, point blank, how many guys did you get to a 4-year school? Did they go on to a 4-year school last year? Oh, we had 6. Show me. What are the names? Okay, ask them. That's the biggest one. The reason you are going to a Juco is to go to a 4-year school, period. The biggest factor here is we all want to win championships and blah, blah, blah. The biggest, number 1 factor is you have to show me that school can get guys, what percentage of their players, in that, especially in that second year of their 2-year school. Remember, you are burning 2 years of your college eligibility. What players can you get onto a 4-year school? Well, we had one guy. Okay, what's his name? Tom Smith. Okay, where do you go? Just keep asking those questions, man. You can do that. Don't get some wishy-washy answer. Oh yeah, we just got a new pitching coach and he's a stud. No. Find out last year, then find out the year prior, and then say, hey, do you mind if I reach out to some of these players? Ask them, not the players who are there currently, the guys who went off to these other schools, and ask them, hey, what was your experience like? The other thing you can ask as well is, what summer ball do you have? So, for example, a lot of guys that when they get looked at for other schools, and it's a good window for a 4-year school to take a look at, is during summer ball. Find out where they send their players to summer ball. Do some research. Now, I know you all want to come back to Australia, especially you Aussies, or you want to come back and train at Driveline or whatever. Summer ball is kind of key. You have to kill it in summer ball if you want to go to a 4-year school, because that's a good chance for them to take a look. Now, the other thing is, how many pro workouts do you guys get? In other words, how many times do you get to showcase in front of professional teams, right? When you do that, when you have some sort of showcase in front of professional teams, it brings along other schools as well, okay? The big one, the number 1 place, I think, for college, junior college baseball is Central Arizona. Their whole thing is just churning out player after player that goes on to a 4-year school. They have a great reputation of sending guys off. That's why I was gung-ho when guys say they want to play Juco to go to Central Arizona. There are other ones too. Now, with that in mind, that doesn't mean you just have to go to Central Arizona, because what happens is this is what you don't understand either. Just because you think it's Juco It means that it's going to be easier. No, no, no. What happens at some of these good JUCOs, the really, really good baseball players that do not want to do any kind of schoolwork, they're called blowbacks, right? In other words, they flunked out of school. These JUCOs get all the kids who got kicked out of school because they were partying or they couldn't keep up with the education. Well, guess what? They're the kids you're up against. There are some dead set studs, and you're like, why is he not a D1? Because he did something stupid, got booted out of a party, and there he is, just throwing 97 with a nasty slider in JUCO. Okay, so just be wary of that. It's not that easy. It's competitive. So, number one, how many guys do you get off? Go on to 4-year schools? That's number one. And that, in turn, talks about the development. How do you develop players? What's your real goal here? What are you trying to do? Because that school should be their number one priority and focus should be to get you to a 4-year school. That's super, super important. The other thing I want to talk about is too, do some research, kids, especially you Aussies. I see it all the time. I hear about it all the time. When you're going to commit to a JUCO, where is it? What facilities? Who are they playing? What's the travel like? What's the weather like? That's a big one, man. I see a lot of kids go off to really cold climates. They see some school and they got some flashy stadium. They're like, boom, thank you. And then they're miserable because they're freezing cold. They're not playing good baseball. And they're just like, where the hell am I in the middle of nowhere? It's really, really, really important. Okay. So where are you going? What's the weather like? All those little factors as well. Again, any questions with this stuff, shoot me an email. I can definitely help. All right, now let's get into the number one thing I hear all the time, the biggest argument for a JUCO as opposed to a 4-year school. And this is why sometimes the communication gets crossed up or you hear it from a third person about my opinion on JUCOs. And I want to say, again, I'm a big fan of junior colleges. Go to the alumni page. You'll see a bunch of them in there, and they've gone off to do really, really, really good things. But look at the JUCOs they're at. They're good ones. Now, this is the big one. If you go to a JUCO, you play right away. I hear that all the time. And I get it, man. You want to be on the field 100%. As a freshman, you want to go in and you want to absolutely kill it and be on the field. I totally, totally understand that. Absolutely. But let's not forget. Let's think big picture here for just a second. When you have the opportunity to go to a 4-year school and you're comfortable, we talked about this earlier in the episode, you're comfortable with the cost and it's a good school, you've done your research and this is a great place to go. You're going there to get, first of all, a degree. You want to get a college degree. It's very important. That's why you go to university to begin with. You want to get a college degree. Number two, when you go to a 4-year school, you want to be drafted. That happens in year 3. Number 3, you want to develop physically. Okay, they're the big reasons why you go to school. Degree, get drafted, have a great experience, right? Obviously, you mature, get strong, develop, all these things. You are not going to turn that down just so you play as a freshman and get more at-bats at some JUCO. Does that make sense? If you have a chance to go to a really, really good 4-year school, as a freshman, you may not get the same at-bats as if you go into some JUCO. Yeah, I get that. I understand that. But you are going to sacrifice all the things I just mentioned just to get that extra playing time as a first-year guy? Come on. Let's get real here. Think big picture, guys. I want you to think about it. You go in, you develop, and if you're not playing as a freshman, let's say you only throw a couple innings, or you only get a couple at-bats, you use that freshman year, you suck up all those facilities of that good NCAA Division I school, you get really strong, you get way more mature, you crush that degree. Year 2, guess what? You come in, I guarantee you, because you're a little bit older, you are playing way more. Roll that into year 3, and so on, try and get drafted. That is the priority, guys. Super, super important. It's about being a part of a team, a culture, all those good things. You may not get the same at-bats as a freshman. You know what? So what? I always say this all the time to my kids when I'm going through this process. I went through it just recently, and I'm going through it as we speak with some of our guys. I always say these words. If it was my son, this is what I would do, okay? If my son, Lennox, or my daughter, Kennedy, if she was playing a non-baseball, whatever, she was playing another sport, I look at it and say, okay, big picture, 4 years of their life, very important, memorable years. What kind of experience are they going to have for 4 years? If they can go to a place that is got a great degree when they leave there, a great network when they leave there, right? Jimmy Nadai, who's going to Stanford. One thing, Stanford's an amazing degree. He can handle it academically. He's a very mature kid. Travis, he put his dishes away and he was here for a week. And I'm again, Trav, messing with you. But Jimmy is an absolute, he comes from a great family, he can handle all that stuff. Now, he's gone to Stanford, great degree. Not only that, the network you gain from going to a place like Stanford University, okay? So think of it like this. When it's my kids, 4-year experience, they're young, only young once, you only get to do college once. What degree are they getting? What experience they're going to have? What facilities are they going to be around? I don't want them to be in some dump. I want them to be in a really nice place, nice facilities, and I want them to be in a culture that is competitive, and they have to work their ass off to get to prove their worth. Now, with all that being said, I can rattle off so many dudes go off to their freshman year. Not all of them. Bazana, Brody, Cooper Vasilakis. I'm just naming some kids who went off to some big schools. Who else we got? Cohen Wynn. I'm just using a couple here. Guess what, guys? Cohen led his team in innings for a freshman. Brody was pitching right away. Travis Bazana, obviously an All-American. It works out, guys. You back yourself and you're good enough to go there. I guarantee when you go in with that incoming freshman, doesn't matter if this kid's some huge prospect, he's on Fangraphs and perfect games, front page, doesn't matter. You go in, you compete, you're going to play as a freshman. But again, like I just rewind the tape, like I said, what's my 4 years going to look at? What kind of experience am I going to have at that school? Yes, there's going to be times where you get frustrated that you're not playing. But guess what? You're going to be way more frustrated when you're at some Juco that you don't quite know where you're going to go in 2 years because things change, right? And you're in the middle of nowhere or the facilities suck. You can't get your really good workout in or whatever when you could have gone to this other school. Again, Jucos, there's a type of kid that goes to a junior college for all the things we talked about, and it's a great launching pad to get you to a 4-year school. But again, if you have a chance to go to a 4-year school, I don't want to hear about the playing time because the priority is what kind of experience am I going to have for 4 years? Am I going to get drafted out of that school? What kind of culture am I going to – what kind of human being? Let's not forget, you are going to work way longer than you play baseball in your life. I'm living proof of that. I played in the big leagues. I did really well, had a good career. I get to do TV and radio. But I'm working way more. I do what I love, but I'm working for a lot more years now as opposed to when I was playing baseball, okay? It's super, super important. Your parents will tell you that as well. All right, so there's a couple things I wanted to cover. The other thing is to listen, you don't want to get into the middle of year 2 and say, man, what did I get myself into? Do your research hard. Back yourself. All right, just because one school offers you doesn't mean there's not 5 others. Make sure you don't ever settle. I talk about this all the time with my kids. Don't settle for anything, right? Back yourself a little bit on this. Now, at the end of the day, wrapping up on this very important topic, if you get to play college baseball, you get to come to the States, or if you're American, you get to play, you make the most of wherever you're at, okay? I'll finish with this. If you're in Juco in the middle of nowhere or you're at the biggest school, it's what you make of it. You're in charge of your own destiny. Just because I committed into Tyrell Harris, Tennessee, University of Tennessee, that doesn't guarantee you anything, okay? Just because you're going as a freshman to whatever school, it doesn't guarantee you anything. You have to constantly prove yourself. And when you set your mind to that, guess what? The rest of your life's going to be easier because you know you have to work harder than the dude to your right, all right? Again, I'll get into some of the motivational stuff down the road in this podcast. I hope that helps. Please send me your comments. If you're a Juco guy and you want to give me some feedback, if you're a 4-year guy, whatever it may be, right? But there's so many things to this. I'm not against Jucos at all. I don't know who ever said that. I love Jucos. I've sent half the kids off to Jucos and as opposed to 4 years anyway. I love them. Just one more thing before I let you go. When you are looking to send your emails and your videos that we've covered in episode 1 and 2, Jucos don't really seek out players until they're in 12th grade. In other words, what they do is wait for all the kids the blowbacks, the kids who don't get into that 4-year school, they can pick up the tail end of the kids from 4-year schools. So, and they also look at, they're not, you're going to hunt a 10th grader, in other words. The way I sort of program it when I got my kids, I got a batch of kids coming over in a couple months. What I do is We go hard for those 4 years. D1, D2, D3 is an academic school. What kind of degree? What are you looking for? And then if that doesn't work out, then we start going for the JUCOs later because we essentially can. You can't do that with 4-year schools. Scholarship money, that 11.7 dries up. It's always too late. These kids commit super early. You have to hunt that 4-year school first. If you just want to go to a JUCO, get in shape, whatever, do your research for a couple of years and then try and reach out later. They're not going to commit to you in 10th grade, put it that way. Hope that helps, guys. Send me a message, mum and dad, if you're listening to this and you need any advice too. I'm all ears. This is what I love to do. All right, guys, we'll see you next time. Click the subscribe button. Follow us at NextGenBaseball. Go to nextgenbaseball.com for all the good stuff. We'll see you next time.